I just want to put this out there, right? The difference between setting boundaries um, and being controlling is a boundary says, this makes me uncomfortable. I will not tolerate this. Being controlling says, I need you to change this to make me comfortable. There's no there's no space where being controlling is healthy, right? Now what I will say is, in order to be in a relationship, a solid relationship with someone, you do have to be considerate. You do have to be adaptable. Both things are necessary. And if you value your partner, you're going to be considerate. You're going to care about how your behaviors are, um, how your behaviors land on them. You know what I mean? Whether or not um, how you're presenting yourself represents them. You know what I mean? So I do think that it's necessary to submit to the relationship, because there's a level of selflessness that makes it work for both parties. Because if you're doing that, then you're showing one another that you value it and you respect it. So, and there's no love without respect. So I do think that that's like necessary. You know what I mean? Um, but as far as like, I don't know, I don't know if it's too late to speak on it now, because I feel like it kind of goes hand in hand with like the 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 last clip you played, where she was talking about like men prioritizing sex, and most women not respecting the average man who prioritizes sex. In the same way that if a woman can't be directed, she can't be protected. If a man can't be trusted, which if a man only prioritizes sex, he can't be trusted, then he can't be respected. So if you want as a man for a woman to respect you, you have to set your boundaries and not compromise on those. There's a difference between, like, you set them boundaries, you set them standards, right? And you stand on them and don't waver, so that, you know what I mean, that woman will respect you and naturally submit to you. Because, I mean, men don't have to ask for submission from their woman. So that's my take on that.
Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I think one thing is definitely confidence. Like you have to have the confidence that you are gonna find what you're looking for. You have to have the confidence that you're gonna find what you're looking for, even if this doesn't work. I mean, because a lot of times, in probably in our younger ages, we would put up with a lot because we didn't know where our next meal was coming from. So you'll definitely deal with some things that you don't necessarily like because you felt like that's going to keep this person around. But as you get older and you start to figure out yourself and start to figure out your likes and dislikes, you definitely are more selective, and you view a lot of these behaviors that don't match up with you morally, or socially, economically. You're able to identify it. But I think you have to have trust in the person, because if somebody's asking you to change, or if they're looking for things out of you that you've never experienced, or things that you've never, a trajectory that you've never reached before, you have to have trust for that person that they're trying to make you a better person. And that's for men and women. Sometimes things have been suggested that I've been very uncomfortable with. But when I look, long term, I'm like, this can do nothing but help me in the long run. Even if I've created these habits where this is totally, you know, contradictory to the way I've been living. So, you have to have trust that this person has your best interests at heart, and that these changes are going to benefit you guys in the long run.
All right, go ahead, Sweeney.
Mm, I think everybody wants to be controlling in some shape or form. When you want somebody to do something that you want them to do, you want them to do it. Every last one of us has done it. If you want somebody to do something that you need them to do, you want them to do it. I think what happens is there's a power dynamic in relationships. You can control somebody as long as you can wield power over them. One thing I've started noticing as you talk to men, and this kind of is that men have no problem walking away as long as they got the power to walk away. When they don't have to, like, how many times you seen guys who ain't got no skin in the game with that chick and can walk away from her quickly? I ain't got to deal with that chick. But once the power dynamic changes, he has a child with her, he marries her, or something like that, and that power dynamic switches, that's when you notice the expectations change up. Now she's more controlling in the relationship. She can will power over him. She can get him to move how she wants him to move. Because and you tend to see, that's why women tend to behave a certain way before you marry them, before you have a child with them. They act a certain kind of way, and then once that power dynamic, then they feel like, okay, well, now I can start doing some of the things I want to do. I agree. You can't change nobody. You can't make nobody move how you want to make them move unless you have power over them to make them move that way. The thing is that the policy prescription for that, what she offered, is what you're seeing men do. They're walking away. I don't have to deal with you at all. The very thing, because if you notice, all you have to do is look at the culture. Everybody's complaining about they're not being approached anymore. Online dating fucking sucks for them because a lot of these guys aren't trying to talk to them, and then the ones that are, they get what they want and they keep it pushing. So you're seeing it manifest itself where you're noticing that men are saying, hey, if you're not moving how we want you to move, we're going to opt out. Or they go overseas. Most of them can't go overseas. Most of them honestly have to just opt out altogether, and you're noticing that. So, and I asked this question a few weeks ago. I can't remember which show I asked it on. I asked a lot of people this: what percentage of men do you think are good men? And the percentage is always less than half. What percentage of women do you think are good women? And the percentage is always less than half, sometimes even lower. And then I sit here and say, well, if you can look at the world and see this, then how is it that you're so confused about the prescriptions that everybody is putting out? How are you so confused about how, if women don't think most men are good men, why they don't feel like, well, most of these niggas ain't shit, so I'm going to approach them the way that I want to approach them. I'm going to get what I can out of them and I can keep it pushing. Or if you look at men and you see, hey, most of these men aren't shit. I mean, you look at women and the men are saying most of these women aren't shit. So I don't have to deal with them. I'm going to use them for this and I'm going to keep it pushing. We're looking at a group of people that don't like one another, and they're giving us their rules of how they interact with one another. And then we come back confused as to why they're doing that, even though they're telling us, I don't like the person on the other side. They're telling us the men don't like the women and the women don't like the men. Which one is justified in their actions or not doesn't really matter, because that's how they feel.